Next thing, you have to go to IAM. After you create your account, set budget, go to IAM and set an MFA for root account. MFA is multi-factor authentication. So multi-factor authentication means generally authentication is username and password, right? You mostly get a one-time password for your banking, right? In case you are trying to log in, or you can use a code generator. For example, you have Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator to generate codes for you. So most of you who are working in an organization will have some sort of code generator which will generate a code or which will get a push notification to accept to allow. The concept of multi-factor authentication is that first is what you know, that is basically you know your password, right? And second is what you have. So it can be either a token generator or a phone which would get that code. So a physical access to that device, right? So that is multi-factor authentication. So once you set up multi-factor authentication, this is very essential. In your root account, you always should have a multi-factor authentication. So this means until unless the person who is trying to access the account has this multi-factor authentication, he would not be able to log into the account. And in case you don't have multi-factor authenticator, right, it is just your password as the kind of security part which can easily be broken in, right? Then next thing you have to do is go to users and create a sorry and create a user. So you have to create a user, use any name. For example, I will create and I will add user to the group. So I would recommend you can use this administrator group. This I have created, but you can attach the policies directly. So search for administrator, and there is a AWS manage job function, which is administrator access. Use this and just click on next. Okay. So once you do it, you will have a user created. And what you can do, if you go to IAM, there is a sign in URL here. You know, you open this in, and basically you can access this with the IAM username. So I have created a IAM username console user and I have a password. So this user, if you go to let me create this. So suppose I create console user. Make sure you check this, provide user access to the AWS management console, right? And if you don't check it, you won't get access to the console. So I will create a IAM user. You can auto-generate a password or you can have a custom password. So if you create an auto-generated password, you will get it on email. You can specify a custom password. So I can suggest a strong password and it will generate it for me. So I've suppose created this password. I will check this. In case you are doing it for someone else, you can check this user must create a new password at next sign in. And I will click on next. Now, either I can add user to the group. So I have to create a group, which I will talk about in IAM. But for this exercise, just go to attach policies directory and click on administrator access. All right. So once I click this next, and I will create the user. So this user is created. I can download this as a CSV file. So it has all the credentials, right? I can copy this and I can go to this URL. This is the same URL which I was talking about. I can use it to sign in. I need to copy the password. Just give me a moment. So that's it. So you are signed in now with the IAM user. So this is the IAM user, and you can see this shows the console. Now, if I go to billing, and if I go to budgets, so you say it will give you an error of access denied. You don't have the permission. So this means the IAM user that I've created does not have a permission to change the budget, right? So what we did, we secured our root account with a multi-factor authenticator, right? We are not going to use it in our day-to-day activity. We created a console user. You can use any name. You can have a password. Generally, you should have MFA for that user as well. But in case you don't use that MFA, still, if you have administrator access as well, it does not have the access for billing dashboard. So that billing dashboard, the budget, etc., it's only accessible to the root user until unless you provide that permission. So by default, what policies that I've used here, it does not have the administrative access policy that I've used here, right? For the console user, it does not have, you can say, permissions for the billing related things. And that's why the person, if suppose I lost the password for this one and somebody is trying to access using this user, would not have access to change the billings setting. So this is very essential that you lock your root AWS account and use an IAM user to perform these changes. So part of an exercise for today, you have to create your account. All right. You have to create an IAM user and you have to also create a budget. Also add an MFA for your root account. So any question in this part?